everybody, Will here from 1459 Studios. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Gear. Today's a special day because I'm here with my good friend and longest-term client, I think, Mr. Robert Carlson. So, Rob.
Howdy.
Want to go ahead and tell us what we're doing today?
Yeah, we just finished up recording all the rhythm and lead tracks for the Glutton for Punishment EP. That's going to be coming out spring 2024 here. And we're going to talk about the gear we used for the guitar tracks.
Awesome. Well, Rob, let's talk about amps a little bit.
So yeah, this is my main rig for live and now recording. This is an Engel Special Edition, Founders Edition. Recently, these came out the end of 2023. I picked them up. What got me into Engel, I was a Kemper user for about 7 years. And I used the Engel Powerball 2 profile exclusively for 7 years. That's what the mutilation process was recorded with, mixed with an Egnator Armageddon. And then I came across an Engel Powerball 2 head. Got that, and basically the Kemper's been in the closet since. So with Engel, they have a pretty wide range of amps, and the special editions kind of their top of the line, cream of the crop. And those came out a few years ago, the original ones. I have one of those. So basically, this is upgrade a little bit of their previous special edition. I just love this. It's got a lot of chunk, a lot of low end. It's very articulate. It'll catch your mistakes if you're not prepared. That's why I really like these heads, and they're just mean, just super mean. So that's the main rhythm track that I used this weekend, and I love this head.
I think this is the first time that I've recorded an actual Engel head at the studio, which is kind of odd being a metal studio.
Right.
I've done a lot of PVs, a lot of EVHs, a lot of Marshalls over the years. Some other brands, Diamond, things like that. But I'm going, how have I never come across an Engel?
Right.
So it's a beefy head. I'm pretty impressed with it, especially for low tuning stuff.
Yeah, it handles the low tuning really well.
Nice. What's our other one? That guy's that's got a familiar name that a lot of people
this is the Marty Friedman Inferno, Marty Friedman signature head. These here have a lot more high-end mid-range to them. So it cuts through really well, especially with EMG pickups, which is what I use for the second rhythm track. So all the second rhythm tracks and Natanics leads are ran through this rig here for the Glutton EP. So these two blended together, from what I've heard so far, blend really nicely on recording. So I'm excited to hear the full mix and master with these two, because I think they're really going to crush.
The cool thing about this for the recording nerds out there is some amps and some amp companies don't necessarily play nice together. Like I always talk about, like if somebody's talking about a Mesa rectifier or something like that, if you have two sides of Mesa rectifier, it just kind of sounds like one solid chunk of mud, in my opinion. Right. Some brands don't play really nice too, and being that Engel's newer for me, I thought that was really cool to hear these two different heads and go, yeah, characteristically speaking, they're similar, but they're just enough different that they sit really well together. So I was pretty impressed with this combination of heads. So good choices, I think.
Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. Let's talk about some cabs next. So we're going to go ahead and talk about cabs next, and we were just kind of joking off film about how chunky these Vader cabs are, not only in sound but in weight. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of it's fitting for it to be a metal cab. So let's go and talk about Vader.
Yeah, these Vader cabinets, again, this is my main rig that I use for live and everything. So the Vader cabs are what I use live. I started working with Adam a few years ago with Vader, and he built, I had him build a custom Glutton for Punishment Krog cabinets for me. And these things are just almost geared towards death metal. I don't want to pigeonhole him. I mean, the cabs will do whatever you want, but they handle the low end so well. And when you're playing in an A standard tuning that's down there, you can still differentiate that they're not woofing out at you. We got the Eminence speakers in here. They run 8 ohm. I mean, you just get a massive sound out of these Vader cabinets. We're also going to be carrying these at the Shred Den in Osseo, Minnesota. Music shop, I'm opening up March 2nd. So you'd be able to come in person and in the store, because right now they're pretty hard to get at unless you can find them on the used market or you do a custom order. So I will have these in store too. But yeah, I love these Vader cabinets, man. I can't say enough good things about them.
They're pretty impressive, and I've recorded this particular cab numerous times, but haven't recorded Rob as many times as I have. I've never not been happy with how Vader's sound. I don't necessarily like carrying him in the building, but they're hey, you you got to pay to play a little bit here, man. These things sound amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So and then going from there, we used on the second rhythm track, we used the Mesa oversized straight here. I really like these cabs. They're similar to Vader in a way, except they have a little more warmth to them. And so I thought that was good, putting the higher gain amp, or not higher gain, but higher mid range through the Mesa oversized here. If I was 1-2, you can't go wrong with either of these cabinets if you're playing any kind of metal and death metal low tuning stuff. So I thought they were a really nice blend. When we play live, Nate uses this rig. He uses an Inferno in the Mesa. So that's why I wanted to do the rhythm tracks on what he would be playing live too. So it kind of, hopefully sounds the same on stage. So
Yeah.
These are the Glutton rigs.
Yeah, they sound pretty great. And Mesa just doesn't need an introduction.
No.
And Mesa cabs especially.
Yep.
I think Mesa cabs, regardless, I really like them as an engineer just because they sound great with rock and roll. They sound great with death metal. They sound great with thrash. They sound great with punk rock. They're just an all-around wonderful cab. If we're sitting here going like, oh, Vader is designed for death metal, I just haven't had experience with Vader beyond death metal. But with Mesa stuff, I've got a ton of experience, and they just sound great with everything.
Yeah. Agreed.
Cool. All right, so now we're going to talk about guitars. And anybody who's ever met Rob or has heard stories about Rob is the man with a million guitars, okay? So all the different brands. So if we were going to do a Let's Talk Gear segment on his entire collection, we'd be here for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months.
Probably.
So today we're just going to talk about a couple of guitars.
Yep.
And let's go ahead and start with the brand that I've most known you for,
Yeah.
that's Jackson.
Well, and the reason why that is because when I was younger, 30 years ago, I had a Kramer Focus 6000 was my first real guitar that I had when I was 14.
Yeah.
3 years later, I saved enough money washing dishes to buy a Jackson Rhodes Pro, right? And I've been stuck on Jackson ever since. They're just for me. As Will said, I have many other brands, and I love all the other brands, but these are just me, especially the Rhodes. This is kind of my number one for Glutton and has been for the last few years now. It's just a USA Rhodes R1T, Seymour Duncan JB's in there. And it's lightweight, it's fast, it's smooth. I just love this guitar. And right now it's just my main Glutton guitar. It has been for a couple of years. They always change, but they're always Jacksons. Typically is what I'm using for Glutton stuff. So this was on all the number one rhythm tracks on the EP here, and this will be on stage all summer from Des Moines to Tampa, Florida, going out in October. So that's this will be on the road, and hopefully I can keep it in as nice shape as it's in now.
Yeah, hard cases are an important thing.
Yeah.
So,
and then speaking of Rhodes, of course, right? So the second tracks are all recorded on another R1T. This one's a custom shop. It's a little bit different. It's got a little bit of a thicker neck. It's got the EMG 81 Spurzl locking tuners, but otherwise it's just, it's an R1T. Plays just as smooth as fast as the other one here. I wanted to use the active pickups through the angle and the Mesa, to kind of bring it out a little bit more. So these are the two guitars on the EP here. Yeah,
they're really cool guitars. I mean, Jackson speaks for itself. Even their non-USA custom shop, great guitars.
Yep.
Obviously, if you got the scratch for it, I'm a PRS guy. What can I say, right?
Right.
If you like what you like. So
Yep.
if it speaks to you and you love it, it's a great instrument. So
Yep.
Yeah, I'll find a Jackson that I like one of these days. Eventually, I just have to find something that's not as pointy.
Right.
So we'll do a little bit of a different segment on this episode, just because this is a recording one about the new Glutton for Punishment EP that's going to be coming out in spring. We're going to talk a little bit about some recording nerddom for the people in the studio world that are interested in that. So the mics that we're using on the Vader cab, the reason that I chose them, and the reason that I chose the mics on the Mesa cab, there are reasons for them. They're not just, hey, throw a mic in front of a speaker and hope for the best, right? So on the Vader cab, I've got the classic SM57, and then that is paired with a Royer 121. The Royer is excellent at catching mids, especially low mids. When you're talking about A tuning, you need mids, you need low mids. That's the secret sauce of any heavy record, if you will. And then, of course, the 57, just that classic punch, that classic tight top end. Pair those two getting together, and you've got a nice full sound on that Vader cab. So that's the combination for that guy. And on the Mesa cab, it's a little bit brighter setup, a little bit more attack on the top end. Again, classic 57. It's kind of my go-to guitar cab mic, regardless of really genre. But again, good top end, good clarity, nice and chunky. And then we use a Beyer Dynamic M160 ribbon microphone. And what's great about that one versus the Royer is it's a bit fuller sounding. So the Royer is a bit better at catching kind of that top end for you, where the Beyer is a little bit more well-rounded. So since we were doing leads on this cab as well, I wanted the leads to not lose all of that fullness that you expect as well. And it pairs really well for rhythm. So it was nice to be able to use that mic combination for both rhythm and leads. And they're wonderful products. I highly, highly recommend anything from Beyer Dynamic and anything from Royer if you got the scratch for it. They're awesome, but a good classic ribbon mic with a 57, you really can't go wrong. Well, Rob, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, buddy. You know, I really appreciate all the support over the years. There's the joke that I've said for a long time that Rob Carlson kept the lights on at 1459 Studios for the first couple of years. So
no, thanks again for having me, and then thanks again for being part of the Glutton for Punishment project again. And always love recording here and coming in and hanging out with you and cool people, man. So I appreciate it.
Thank
you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yep.